Welcome everyone to my chess stream here on lichess and Twitch. I am William Paschall. I'm an international chess master living in Budapest, Hungary, and we are back from Christmas break. We're going to be playing blitz and classical chess here on lichess and Twitch. If you'd like to play, please challenge me to a time control between 5 and 8 minutes with a small increment. It was nice to rest the voice for like 4 days. I feel fully recharged, ready to go. Although it is kind of weird not playing any chess for 4 days. When I get away from it, I like to get away from it. And we had a break a couple weeks ago to play poker, and then again the holiday here. So I have been away from the game for quite a few days in this month actually. So last time I came back after a break, I was playing really well. Hopefully that will continue. I don't know if the stream is up. It doesn't look like the stream is up yet. Let me make sure we're good here. Sometimes I might do something crazy with the title, but it looks good. Okay, this should be coming up. The stream should be starting, so we'll see. Alright. I don't see any notification on my stream on lichess, which is a little bit weird. Should get picked up by lichess. Alright, let's go to the lobby and see if we can find a game. Kissy Girl is rated 2200. Alright. 50437880. None of these time controls are really appealing. 5-5, kind of a long increment. Now our stream is up. So 5-5, hopefully we're going to get some challenges now. The stream has been picked up on lichess. But I like to occasionally pick up a game here. We could go to the quick game feature, which I haven't been successful with yet. Let's see. I have not been successful getting a quote-unquote quick game. I'm sure in like Bullet it's very successful, but with the blitz games I have not been able to pick up anything. Guys, welcome back to my stream. We took Monday off. I wasn't sure if we were going to stream Monday. I thought about it, but too close to the holidays, so I thought why not just wait until today. Yesterday was technically a holiday as well, Boxing Day in some countries, so I figured wait until today. We cannot get a challenge with this quick game thing. Quick game, it's like fast food without the fast. Maybe people just like the super fast time controls like 3-0, 2-1, and 1-0. Let's go back to the lobby and see if we can find another challenge. Please, if you're watching the stream, feel free to challenge me to a game between 5 and 8 minutes with a small increment. You can find something here, 5-5 against Marbo. Have I played Marbo before? I like to handpick my opponents. Make sure they're really bad. No. Our preferred time controls here is Uvanis, 5-2 casual. That actually would have been okay, but he started a game. Let's find somebody here. 5-0. Let's play this guy a 5-0 game. It's casual. Not rated. People then they'll abort the game when they see you're 600 rating points higher. They're like, I don't want to play somebody who's better than me. We did get a challenge, so if no timer doesn't move, we're going to play Pawn Spanker. Pawn Spanker challenges me to 5-5. Pawn Spanker, change that challenge back to a normal time control. Short-term memory. Something between 5-3 and 8-3, Pawn Spanker. The 5-5, the increment is too long. I'm going to play this guy. I mean, I challenged him, and I'm going to stand by my challenge. So a little bit of non-increment chess to wake up with here. Okay, so the bishop c4 now, we're transposing to a Sozin attack. No timer, just, he had to take a little time to, call his 2200 roommate to play the game. That's why there was such a delay in starting. No, I'm just kidding. He could have played e5 there. It's so inconsistent to play bishop c4. e5 with the idea of pawn takes pawn, bishop takes f7 check, of course. Very inconsistent to go back here. That's very passive. Pawn Spanker, where are you? Feel free to re-challenge me. You know the drill? What do we do with this? Bishop g5 anyway. This does weaken my king side a bit. I normally try to avoid doing this. Wow. Just giving up his dark squared bishop. It's a terrible positional blunder. I had a philosophical discussion with someone not that long ago about the wording of this blunder. You know, is it a blunder if somebody makes like a strategic mistake? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, blunders can be both tactical or strategic. Oh, Railbird 80, it's nice to know I'm not alone here. I was getting afraid. Getting afraid that I was trapped in this empty chat room for the rest of my life. Rook b4. The unemployment agency and this bishop have a long-standing relationship. It's often a problem in these kind of structures. In the Rossolimo type positions, the the Marazzi, we have a challenge. Hopefully it's Pawn Spanker fixed his challenge. Yep, he's 6-3 now. That's unusual but fine. That's totally cool. 5-5. I just don't like the 5-second increments. They really like pile up. And sometimes the game takes inordinately long. Anyway, it just makes it simpler. Actually, 5-5 would have been okay, right? I'm being inconsistent. Okay. I have accepted 5-5 before. Now I'm refusing Pawn Spanker. Sorry, Pawn Spanker. That's what happens when I don't stream for half the month. I forget my own like rules. Anyway, like 6-3 is fine. Actually, I did accept. I usually accept 5-5 too, but I'm a little bit out of it. So, just forgive me. No, the 5-5 would have been okay actually. That's what happens when I'm away for a few days. I forget what I'm doing. Spinal Tap Chess. Spinal Tap Chess always thought a blunder was a human error tactically. Because if you're doing something with an idea, it's not really a blunder, just a bad decision. Spinal Tap Chess. Good to have you. Spinal Tap Chess is not letting this rest. Yeah, that's why I didn't study philosophy in school. Oh, the endless arguments. Spinal Tap Chess, I'm kind of persuaded a little bit by your argument there. I'm on the fence now. I'm on the fence if I'm right or wrong. I don't know. It just... Strategic blunder. Have we ever seen this? Have you ever seen this strategic blunder? Is that... I feel like I've read that in chess books before. It was a strategic blunder. Alright, this guy has got 3 minutes to my 1 minute. This was a strategic blunder. I'm just letting white... Oh, man. This looks crazy to play h5 here. No timer. He's 1800. It's a casual game. h5, very weakening. I regret playing h6 in the first place, by the way. I already mentioned that. I don't like playing h6 in this type of dragon. But with the dark squared bishop on the board that white doesn't have, we have quite a bit of leeway. But anyway, I started a philosophical question debate about whether a blunder can be a strategic kind of positional thing, or does it have to be tactical? And I thought, oh well, everybody will agree with me. But no, we get like the strongest player possible to disagree with us. But now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I mean, that's why I brought it up, because if I was sure about it, I wouldn't bring up the debate in the first place. Yeah, it's unclear. I don't know. Anyway, there's no hard and fast rules about terminologies, I guess, so it's open to interpretation. I kind of always thought that blunders could be either tactical or strategic, but maybe Spinal Tap Chess is right. By definition, a blunder has to be tactical. But I'm interested to get everybody else's opinion on the subject. Yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, is Spinal Tap right? Does a blunder, quote unquote, have to be like a tactical mistake? Because like what he's saying is a good point. He thinks that if it's a strategic idea, it's an idea, then it's just a bad idea. Well, I'm on my side of this argument, because what about like, I don't know, Sherlock Holmes or like some kind of non-chess related situation? The word blunder is used in a lot of like situations in the real world. People made a mistake, right? And this guy is fast. I'm glad this isn't a rated game, because I have a pretty high percentage chance of losing on time against this guy. Just because this is the first game I've played like in 4 days. And I'm also just waking up an hour ago. Other than that, if I was warmed up, I'd probably take him out. We're going to just go crazy with our king, I guess. Or not. Oh, F6. This is not good. I mean, it's not bad, but we're down to 15 seconds. This guy's too fast. I'm used to playing with an increment. There's no way I'm going to make this. Guy's also too fast. But at 1849? Really? And he's never had a lost position the whole game. Worse. Now he's found this tactical resource even here. I'm just going to lose on time. 1800. And this guy's 1600 in bullet. And he just flagged me. That's interesting. You're 1600 bullet, but you out-timed me by like a whole minute. And, right. I mean, I'm a little slow, but this guy was finding moves, Anyway, I'm glad that it was unrated. That's no typical player. Alright, Pawn Spanker 6-3. You don't like lichess anymore. They don't have the cheaters under control. Who is that? I just keep the account so I can play in Sludgy Simul. Dude, if you tell me a chess site that has the cheaters under control, let me know, okay? This is a misnomer. I mean, no chess site has the cheaters under control. If you believe that, you're living in a fantasy world. We've had this discussion before, and I think that the pay sites, have a tendency to have less cheating under control than the free sites. But anyway, I'm not going to get into a big discussion about it. I don't feel like it now. I just started. There are going to be cheaters on every site. It's going to piss you off. But this site is no worse than any other site. I mean, somebody got caught cheating against me the other day. I don't remember the last time that someone I reported on certain other sites got caught. You never faced a cheater. This must be the ICC guy. Never faced a cheater in ICC. Alright, dude. You never faced a cheater in ICC. Alright. Dude, please don't just put absurd comments to support one chess site on my stream. ICC, I have had hundreds of people not get caught who cheated against me. In fact, like, only about 2% of the people who cheated against me ever got reported or caught. They got reported by me, but they were never caught. So please don't come to me with the ICC stuff. ICC's probably got about the worst track record for catching cheaters. I've reported hundreds and hundreds of people, and like at maximum 2% of them were actually caught. So it really makes me angry, and I don't want to talk about it. We got challenges from Big Chicken, Constant Change. Dude, how are you sure that there's millions of stars in the galaxy? You just see them out there, you have a feeling they're there. We can never be sure. Okay, you'll never be 100% sure that somebody's cheating. But I'm not going to discuss just cheating in chess for my entire stream today. So I'm just going to ignore any further comments on the subject. Alright, so Pawn Spanker, it's a gambit with c5. He plays g4. This is a very bad move. I'm threatening stability in the center, and white now plays g4. When there's tension in the center, you need to develop your pieces, try to keep the tension. Don't have time for flank moves like g4 in this position. Alright, bishop e3. I did lose a game with this structure not that long ago. White had like g4, attacked me in a Marazzi on the king side with g4 h5, and I couldn't really defend myself properly. I wonder... how can one get counterplay here quickly? Not that easy to do. Sacrificing a piece like bishop takes g4, something you might see in the regular dragon. Hard for me to get an open position. Maybe e6 and d5. I think this makes a lot of sense, actually. We're going to try to open the position up, obviously, here. I think this calls for drastic measures. This debate about computers and cheating, it becomes very invasive. Often takes over like the whole stream. That's all you can talk about once you get on that subject. So we're gonna kindly pass on that today. d4. This is winning material or just trading, I think. Winning material or just trading. It's the question that we need to answer here. But it's just bad for white, whatever happens here. Knight takes. What if I play bishop h6 check first? Yes. Bishop h6 check first, followed by knight takes g4. That's really brilliant. Where do I come up with these ideas? Knight d5. I really want to win the material back. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me. What's my favorite opening? Castle, like castle with a Y. My favorite opening is probably the Sicilian defense. As you can see. No, this was the King's Indian. Well, anyway. You see, I'm trying to force the Sicilian against everything, so that can just tell you right away what my favorite opening is. Right, so he saves the material here with this move. And my knight looks kind of like trapped on e3. How am I going to develop the rest of my pieces as well? Knight e5. Oh man, knight e5. f4. If I do play knight e5, what happens? This looks a little dangerous, but I thought I can play sometimes bishop h6. He can't play the bishop out this way. So the c4 pawn. And the idea of knight g2, if bishop e2, knight g2, knight f4. My favorite opening is the Sicilian defense. This was the King's Indian, but it becomes a Sicilian. After c5 and c takes d. Hope you guys had a good holiday. Got New Year's coming up, so I'm not going to be doing a simul on Sunday. I normally do simuls every Sunday. Someone mentioned that. But I can't read it because it's like fluorescent green. I should change the colors. Oh, okay, it's Fresh Kid 526. Fresh Kid plays in my simuls, right? From Switzerland. Knight e3. It's a little bit awkward to get this knight out of the game. So the next simul will be January 8th. Does that make sense? Yes. This Sunday is New Year's Day, so I'm not going to be playing on that day. Recovering from a hangover, probably. So the 8th will be the next simul, 6:30 p.m. CET on January 8th will be my next simul. I saw Lance 5500 was doing like a 40-player simul yesterday. Pretty impressive. You got home from visiting Counter Sparks. What's up, man? Got home from visiting in Japan. Rook f2. Well, I don't want my knight trapped. I'm kind of happy to take this bad bishop. Is there any sort of finesse like bishop d4? Just taking the bishop. His position is not great, but I'd really like to win some material rather than just trading for this bad bishop. He's kind of stuck though. The bishop goes here or here. I was thinking I could bring more pressure to bear on c4. Let's just play this. I don't think he's going to be able to trap my knight very easily. In some variations, I can play bishop takes knight. That shouldn't be ruled out as a possibility. I shouldn't have said anything. It's hard not to drop a piece here. I mean, hard to drop a piece. It's actually hard to drop a piece because he's got to develop something. Whether it's bishop e2 or bishop h3, knight h3, knight h3, e5 would block my bishop on g7. He scored 5.5 out of 9 in my first FIDE standard tournament. My rank was 165, and it's a big tournament, my God. 711. What tournament has 700 players? Like what tournament was that, man? With that many players? Sounds like an online poker tournament. That's huge. That's a huge field. Wow. Aeroflot is later. The London Chess Classic couldn't have had that many players. I'm just curious. Like, what tournament can have that many players? Something in the United States? The North American Open is going on now, but it's certainly not over. I'm not even sure that has that many players. That's a massive field, man. It's like, it sounds like the World Open or something. What the heck tournament has 700 players? It's massive. Okay, let's just take the pawn. I lost to the Russian guy, my first opponent, who I didn't know who it was there on time. That was kind of weird. He has a 1600 bullet rating, and he was just like crushing me on the clock. I mean, I'm half asleep, and I'm a little bit not used to streaming because I haven't streamed in the last few days. But still, that guy was like brutally fast. Alright, that's it. Alright, pawn spanker. It took me a while to break it down, but it's not really good. If we just take a look here. He played g4. And then I gained the tempo, but it's like, what do I do here? He's turning g4, maybe h4, h5. I don't have any breaks. b5 is very hard to do. So I just decided to try e6 and d5, but I think you need to be consistent and take on d5. Castle queenside, it's a mistake. So what happens here after like take? I'm sacking a pawn for active open position. Interesting though to see what would have happened if you had taken the pawn. Big Chicken 2172. 729 players in India. Yeah, okay. Okay, I got you. Wow, that's massive. That's a huge field. Alright, Big Chicken played once, I think, last stream. Wow, man. That is just such a huge field. 700 players. That's a lot, man. I have a concept of how many people that is. I was just in Prague playing in a poker tournament. Yeah, it's a room full of people, 700 people. For a chess tournament, that's a lot. I mean, I've seen more, but it's not happening every day. Okay, bishop g2. I've actually promoted this system for black, although I normally recommend knight c6. Bishop c5 first. It's kind of like reasonable move. Like the Grand Prix attack, just hasn't played knight c6. Anyway, it will transpose if knight to c6. How do you respond as black when white places pawn to c5, English opening, c4? Well, there's all sorts of ways. Like, actually, the English opening gives black a massive amount of room for personal choice, so it's non-confrontational. Well, I'm not too loud, guys. Non-confrontational. Spinal Tap Chess was here. He's gone. I think he went to sleep. He brought up an interesting philosophical debate. Does a blunder have to be a tactical mistake? That's a thought for the day. The philosophical thought for the day. Can it be like a strategic mistake? Or a mistaken idea? I always thought it could. I don't know. Just because Spinal Tap Chess is an international master doesn't mean he understands the vocabulary of the game. Okay, c6. Now I can diss him now that he's not here. No, I don't know. Interesting debate, though. And Big Chicken goes for this big clamp type of thing with c6. Now we can take either way, with a knight or with a pawn. I mean, obviously taking with a pawn destabilizes his bishop. I think I should just take with a pawn. It gains a tempo. I mean, it's nice to take with a knight, but I had a similar game to this like last week with colors reversed. If you don't know how to play the English, just copy every move from opponent. The symmetrical English is perfectly okay for black, but obviously the symmetry will break at some point, and you've got to know how to play chess, or at least have some familiarity with what you're doing. So d5 isn't really on here. They have to play a more reserved setup, I think. Maybe he can get away with it. d5 take. I don't think so. Yeah, I guess you could. You could play d5, but it looks a little difficult to maintain that pawn on d5. Counter sparks vary when your opponent threatens mate. He likes e5 and f5 against c4. It's sort of popular, right? Okay, e5 and f5. It's Big Chicken. c4, e5, knight c3, f5. Now, I should tell you guys right off the bat here. According to classical opening theory, I'm supposed to play d4 in this position, but I didn't do it. I was just kind of not really thinking that incisively. So d4 is more critical than what I played. Generally speaking, f5 isn't really recommended right away. Normally you do knight c6 and then like f5 after g3. So I had the chance to play d4. It's kind of like the Grand Prix attack. White goes e4, black plays c5, white plays f4, black plays d5. That's the way to try to take advantage of the immediate f4. Right, so d6. Now I don't have a clue what to do. I don't have a clue what to do here in this position. If I had the knight on d4, I would have a better concept of how to develop my pieces. But in this position, I don't know what my plan is. It's a little hard for black to coordinate, but I don't really have a target or a plan in this position. Maybe b4 and c5. Just gaining space. I think the queenside space, just to grab queenside space, I don't know what else I'm supposed to do here. Big Chicken had to play d6. I think d5 was too risky. Guys, we have challenges from Constant Change, Counter Sparks, and Lionel. Lionel is a player from Belgium. Alright. The Belgian poker players were terrorizing me in Prague. It's nice to play some chess with them. There was a Belgian chess and poker player in one of my tournaments. We were both bubbled in the chess poker tournament. Maybe it's him, no. I don't think he's that strong. A5. Alright. I don't want to open the A file for black. A5 is a debatable move, kind of playing on white side of the board, the queen side. Black side of the board, maybe the king side of this Dutch type of approach. So maybe that black is playing on the wrong side of the board here, where the white strong side is on the queen side. I was just saying I should grab space on the queen side, and he played A5. Did you win prize money? No, I mean I won prize money, but I only got back like half of my entries, which is pretty typical. We won a lot of prizes, but none of them were significant. That's the problem. Queen d3. This looks like a good centralizing move. Didn't manage to recoup all my expenses. Queen d3. Black has much less space, much less room to maneuver and options. Queen e8 here. That's a kind of weird move. I mean, typical Dutch move, but it seems a bit strange to play that in this position. Maybe I should take. I have to watch out for knight to b4. I might be helping him there. No. Yeah, I'm just going to play a3 here, I think. I wonder if I made a mistake with this whole idea. I mean, it looks crazy for black to allow himself to be backward along the b file. I have to be very careful tactically, though. I don't have d5 because he just jumps in here. And I, in fact, helped black to develop a piece, so I'm wondering if this was a bad idea. Big Chicken has a pretty high rating, 2172. I'm going to guess that he's somewhat dangerous tactically. Actually, he's got a lot of very reasonable moves here. Oh, man. There's an important point, though. If he tries to play queen f7, I have d5. Because knight e5, pawn takes bishop, attacking his queen. So he can't do this without losing material. This is very tempting. Queen f7 to increase the pressure on c4. Tempted by ideas of a4 and bishop a3 instead of b takes c6. B takes c6 was really unnecessary. Really unnecessary. I think it would have been a fine idea in the right moment, but I played it. There was no reason for me to play b takes c6 when I played it. It was just really not necessary. It was not a pressing reason to have to take on c6. And I could have waited till a more opportune moment. Instead, I gave him all sorts of like tactical possibilities. Queen d8. Alright. Interesting situation. Yeah, he didn't spend too much time on that. He's just like, all right, whatever. Maybe I should protect this. There's an issue with the bishop attacking c4, backed up by this rook on c8. I may end up not having a good way to protect it. Sort of just trade, get good control of d5, maybe take the pawn on b7. I'm not sure that I'm... Wow. Not sure that I'm better, is what I was going to say. Now, Big Chicken is clearly tactically minded player. Active pieces. He doesn't care about maybe perfect strategic play as much as being practical, staying solid, and just trying to get a kind of general idea of my opponent, you know, because I have only played 2 games with him. It helps to have just kind of a scouting report. Let's see. I mean, just if you understand what your opponent's strengths and weaknesses are, look how quickly he's playing these tactical moves. Like, knight e5 just instantaneously. Like the instantaneous switch and zook. I want to play knight d5, but I don't think that works. I don't know what to do. I hate to trade off that piece. I had a tremendous, massive position. Now I'm like not better at all. But I can take on f5, then he takes my rook. That's a good idea. I mean, I'm just so disappointed I just blew my whole advantage here. Big Chicken finding resources constantly. The speed at which he's playing is quite fast. Surprised his bullet's not higher, actually. Queen b5? It's not even good. Man. This is a bad move. (7-3). Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me. e4. Shutting down my bishop. You just lost a pawn. Not exactly. He resigned. Why would you resign in this position? Alright. Big Chicken got bored with this game. It's not fun anymore. Alright. He's bored with this game. Constant change. Guys, if you'd like to play, be sure to challenge me. I don't challenge you today. I would need a perfect day to have drawing chances, but today is not such a day. I don't know, man. You play pretty well in my simul's. Perfect day. I feel pretty groggy today. I don't really know why. It's a little weird sometimes when I don't stream for a while and I come back. I feel a little bit sleepy. I had a big coffee. Not really sure why. Alright, constant change. Yeah, I get this a lot lately. You would like to see the endgame played out, Railbird. Me too. I'm not even sure I'm better, let alone like he should resign. It's probably equal, but it's obviously not like a boring equal. Chances for both sides to go wrong. But my intuition tells me that's probably a draw with correct play. Vasham Chess, what's up? Newburger, haven't seen you in a while. Good holidays. D5, 95, Queen B1. Black has hanging stuff there. Sheppy might have seen something that I missed. Sheppy, did I miss a win of a piece? Is that what you're trying to tell me? E6, kind of a strange setup for black. But how bad can it be? He could play a kind of open Catalan, I guess. But I believe that white needs to play c4. I mean, what else are you going to do here? Like bishop g5 and play for e4? Yeah, I think it should definitely not be a win for either side. I was just happy not to be worse after he gets the rook on the 7th. Honestly. A6. Strange position. Constant change. The player has been difficult for me. He plays very fast and practically. My score is good, but it's not really indicative of the quality of games black has played. Good quality of games. Bad score. I don't know what that means, but not a weak player, just unlucky maybe. I don't want this knight to remain on e4 for too long. I would think that if we had this pawn on a5, it would almost be like a standard Bogo Indian position. More like a Stonewall Dutch than a Bogo Indian, actually. I also could have played bishop a3. It's something that should be considered. Trading off the black's good bishop, theoretically. Oh man, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, really. Standard stonewall. Both b6 and e6 were hanging. I didn't see that, Sheppy, at all. I was a little sharper tactically. Obviously, I wouldn't miss it, but I feel I'm in a little bit of like a... I feel like I'm in a kind of daze or something. I mean, I think I need more oxygen. Maybe I have to open the window. Haven't been outside this morning. Need a little fresh air. F5. Can we play F5? I mean F3. I'm looking at crazy stuff here. Yeah, man, I mean, it's ridiculous, but... Constant change using very little time ever on a single move. Here I spent a minute thinking about knight takes g3, and he just instantly doesn't do it. Knight takes g3, h takes g3, bishop takes g3 with huge complications. f4, queen h4. Now he gets 3 pawns for a piece. Knight f3, queen takes f4, and then something like queen d2 or... You know, it's like very complicated. But he just doesn't even want to waste his time on that, you know. So he just makes a quick move. That's what I'm talking about by being practical. Constant change. Never ever spending more than like 15 seconds on a single move. But a lot of times he's gone to the grave with this extra time. I mean, that's the thing, though. I mean, you have a chance to sacrifice a piece for 3 pawns. It's not something that pops up every moment, you know? Maybe we should take a little bit of time to consider the ramifications. Now, b6. According to the engine, winning the piece was like plus 2.5. The move I played was plus 2. Not up a piece, and I was plus 2 in that last game. I knew I was better. I didn't think I was that much better. Don't you love the evaluations of the modern computer engines? Sometimes they're like hugely inflated when you're not even that much material. It's like plus 4. Alright, now c5 starts to become kind of an interesting option around here. How and when am I going to play that? I'm going to have to take back with the pawn if I do that? Alright, whatever. Actually, I was thinking about playing e4, which is the bane of the Stonewall Dutch. I think if you can get an e4, you sort of defeated the opening on a philosophical level. Bobby Richards, thank you. So, oh man, it's good to be back, guys. When I'm not doing this, I feel like I'm kind of lost a little bit. Now we're back streaming, and I feel like there's a reason for my existence. Should we just take like the massive space advantage with c5? Especially after rook c8, it feels very tempting. It shuts down his bishop as well. maybe a4 here. Actually, I don't really know what to do. Knight e5, b4, just b4, I don't know. God. Constant change. Why do you use so little time in all of your games? Is it something about, like, are you terrified to be in time pressure? Like, some people have phobia of being in time pressure, so they just never get in time pressure. Bishop f6. The space advantage should be worth something for me. But there's something disturbing about playing someone who you can never, ever, ever have more time than. You know, like, they'll never, ever let you have the time advantage on the clock. I talk about it not being that important, but still there's something psychologically disturbing about the fact that you're always behind on the clock. It's in the back of your mind. I notice this a lot, especially against, like, weaker players when I'm slightly better. Oftentimes they are ahead on the clock the entire game. I feel like there's this pressure on me. You have to prove an advantage, and you have to not lose on time. Constant change now finally starting to take some time here. I don't know why this particular position. He has a big spatial disadvantage, but it's, whoa, g5. Okay, g5 is not a move that I think I would have expected. He's been a non-confrontational kind of here. It's a natural pawn break, though. His only, other than a5, which is kind of suicidal. Alright. Tough call which way to recapture, but this is protected. So I thought he's got a backward pawn on the e-file. Whew, man. I don't understand how I'm 22 and 2.5 against this particular opponent, because I always seem to have a very difficult time. I mean, I've never had so many difficult games against someone I have such a score against. He has no plans in this position. I guess that's why he takes time. Well, that's what hopefully does start to happen when you have less space, as is the case here. I don't want to trade pieces, right? It'd be a big mistake to trade pieces. Another good move. Now what? The problem is Queen a4. He's starting the brilliant bishop a6 there. b8. I'm almost caught up to him on the clock. Well, you had bishop a6, queen takes c6, bishop b5, trapping my queen in that position. The second time he was really close to something, but then like shied away in the moment when it was really interesting. Like earlier when he had the sacrifice of a piece for 3 pawns, now he could do bishop a6 and bishop b5, but didn't do it. I'm not sure that he likes complications. If bishop a6 last move, I would have had to play bishop f1 anyway, thus. He could trade his bad bishop off, but still he has some problems on the white squares. I still don't see white winning. How do I win here? I mean, somebody said he has no plans, but it's actually pretty difficult for white too. Now maybe this is one idea. It's still not enough in and of itself. Everything's protected. I don't have a good square for my pieces. Knight e5 is nice, but it just trades off his pieces. F2 is a bad square. Much worse than this, but I need to move something here. Yeah, he saw that too. Sees everything. What about c6? He's got an answer for that too. Just like everything else. And some of the longest games I've ever played are against constant change, too. Like 20-minute struggles. I still don't have anything. I have no idea what to do. game could just go on forever. This is very typical for my games against constant change, how this game ends. You know, everything was fine, then there's strange, mysterious loss at the end. Counter sparks. I guess he just got tired out. 7 plus 3. I thought I was probably slightly worse at some point there. Battle of moves that do nothing but hold a position. Yeah. I felt, even at the end, he might have had h6 to trap my knight on e6. I haven't played a lot against d4 of late. There's been much more e4. Actually, I did have that earlier game with the same-ish King's Indian. But yeah, really, that's the kind of game I just don't like to play on the stream. 50 or 60 move Stonewall Dutch type position where nothing happens. It's just absolutely soul crushing. So this has different names. Knight c3 with bishop f4. And then it depends on what white does there. It can be the Barry attack or something recommended by Shereshevsky, which is like queen d2 and bishop f4. I don't know what that's even called. But this with bishop g5, I guess it's some kind of Veresov. I wore him down. Are you going to join the Pro Chess League? You're going to have to tell me about it, Dr. Checkmate. I'm kind of out of the loop. I was just thinking about you, Dr. Checkmate. How are you doing, man? Bishop g7. That game, I mean, it's just, you know, that's just not the kind of game you want to play, like in an online 15-minute type structure. I don't know if I really wore him down, though. I didn't feel like I wore him down. I felt like he was making progress. You know what I mean? I felt like he was actually making progress. I mean, I was very close to, like, getting my queen trapped on a4, then, like, maybe even allowing some kind of tactics. h4. Now, this is a kind of Barry attack idea. This bishop would often be on, like, f4. White would play e3, bishop e2. An interesting try. So he's going to play like bishop takes f6 and h5 maybe. So I think I should play h6, I guess. I mean, I felt like I was making negative progress. That's why I was surprised. Okay, he actually isn't used to being in time pressure. If you think about my last opponent, this is kind of what I was talking about. Like, just because you play fast doesn't mean you're a good blitz player. And what I'm saying is, like, he never ever gets in time pressure because he plays so fast, but maybe he kind of panics when he reaches that situation where he's finally down to like 5 seconds a move or something. Oftentimes he'll start making blunders. But I think it's purely psychological because, I mean, the whole game he's playing super fast, basically. Why should he start making bad moves at the end? Because it's like sudden death. It has to be entirely psychological because he's been playing that fast the entire game, as fast as he needs to play at the end, basically. See what I'm saying? So if he's suddenly making mistakes, it's purely of a psychological nature. So it's basically a Barry attack. with the bishop going back to f4. And white can do like e3, bishop e2. That's... Here he has options. I mean, queen d2 walks into knight e4. Sometimes you don't want to do that. Okay, super pots are ruined your Christmas, the flu, man. Yeah, I've been avoiding getting sick. Like, I took, like, you know, the antibacterial hand gel with me to Prague. You know, you're playing poker with, like, chips and cards, and people are shaking your hand, and you're, like, playing with the same stuff. And this one player, he, like, freaked out when I busted out the antibacterial hand gel. There's this smell of, like, alcohol, and he was like, oh, what is that? But seriously, I was taking every precaution not to get sick. Bishop e6, bishop g4. Let's trade. Yeah, you don't want to get the flu during the holidays. Sorry about that. So Dr. Checkmate says, anyway, 4 players per city in major cities across the world meet for weekly Internet 15-2 matches. Trying to organize one for Denver. Wow, cities across the world. Sounds like the online poker league. Is it something like that? Do I want to guess who's setting this up? Alright, bishop takes f3. We chop this guy before he does any damage. I like white here a little bit. White's slightly better. I'm not sure that h6 helps my case too much. Cause, whatever. Kind of weakening my white squares. But still black's fairly solid. Fairly solid. Kaisel. I don't know how you pronounce that. Finally waking up, guys. It's always hard coming back when I don't play much chess for like 4 days. I literally didn't play a game for 4 days till that guy I played in the 5-0 game flagged me down a piece. It's like you got to get back into it, and my brain is like not really working on the right frequency. And last game was tough. When I came back from Prague, I had been playing all this poker for 10 days. Actually, I noticed that the stream I came back, the first one I did, I played extremely well. It's interesting. So, I mean, maybe just, it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it's poker, chess, another kind of mind game. As long as your brain is working in the downtime that you're not playing or streaming or whatever, that's the important thing. So, but over the last 3 days, I wasn't really doing any kind of critical thinking, and I wonder, maybe that's why I'm not playing as well today, or just I'm not thinking as quickly. Queen d3. I like the way the Countersparks played this. I think he's slightly better here. I really need a way to play e5. I don't really want to commit myself to castling kingside yet. He's got e4 maybe if he wants to. He can just wait. I need this counterplay with e5. How the heck can I do this? There's no way to get more support of e5 without castling and playing rook e8. But maybe I have to castle. Bite the bullet here. I was seeing all sorts of phantoms and maybe real monsters if I try to castle. Knight f8 is a crazy concept. How about h5? Stopping g4? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, peoples. We got the 2 to 4 minute time disadvantage. Winter time, terrible. Antares. Greg. Greg has quit Twitch now. I didn't know Greg did Twitch. I thought Greg was like on YouTube or something. Didn't realize he did Twitch. Alright. Queen A5. It had the hallmarks of Greg. I was thinking of starting a world chess and poker tournament league. Alright. Castles. He castled kingside. That's a relief, because I was seriously worried about castling queenside. And h5 followed by like g5, bishop takes g5, h takes g5, h6 with his rook on the h file, bishop h8, h7 check, and then somehow like checkmating me with the queen on h6. I don't know how it would get there. Maybe like queen f5, queen h3, queen h6. If you guys can follow that. So I'm relieved that he decided to castle queenside. I mean, he could have castled kingside. He could have castled queenside. He could have tried it. I mean, like, castles queenside, b5. It's a little scary because I can do stuff like knight b6 and knight c4, b5, b4. Whoa. I didn't mean you play b4. Well, taking is... I don't think taking helps my cause here. I think I have to go back. And just letting him have the b file, getting on b7, that's not going to help black. b4 is an interesting move. I like the way he's played this. Could have played b5 right away as well. Please let me have some counterplay. Shame he was real good. Greg did Twitch. He did chess and Hearthstone. So CounterSparks resigned. Sorry, man. I just, it was a Freudian thing. He played bishop e5, but it doesn't work. Oh, I get it. He's gonna do e6. I'm just kidding about the resign, CounterSparks. Knight e5. I don't know what's going on here. If I take on e6, it's better to play knight e5, right? I think at the end of the day, I destroyed the white center, and black stands better at the end of the day. But that was a hasty move. Queen e2. Take back on f3 with check. Now here we have options. Knight here. Interesting situation now. To be careful of tactics. Like knight takes d5. This is kind of weird. If knight c4, queen d3, and then like e5, e4. Alright, enough chatter. I'm about to lose on time. Perhaps it would have been better to play e5 and block my bishop, but I don't think so. Alright, people. So Greg has left the building. I like Greg. He's a good guy. Well, CounterSparks is 2183. That's a respectable rating. He played fine until... Well, first of all, I thought Castle's kingside was kind of compromising. Although the other way was obviously imbalanced. Maybe instead of a4, b5 right away. Still, it wouldn't have stopped me from my plan of playing for e5. But this has gone south. White is in trouble. White's probably lost here. I mean, this is just falling. My bishop's very strong, so let's not delude ourselves. What's really going on here? Game from London Chess Classic between Caruana and Nakamura. I did not see that. What was the feature of this game? I need to go back and look at all the London Chess Classic games. I was obviously in Prague playing poker, so I kind of missed everything. I did see a couple games from the tournament, but not anything significant. Whoa, I gotta move quickly here. This was a bad move. Bishop f8. I guess it's not that bad, but not the best. So oh, we're on that guy. This bishop is too valuable a defender to consider like trading it for this lousy knight. He's putting up some resistance. Lousy knight. Man. Not so easy. His knight looks pretty good, actually, on a white square. Oh, man, he double attacked my pawns. Most unfortunate. This was not the best move by me either. Okay, that was not a good move by white either. He should have played pawn takes pawn and like knight c3 or something there, no? I'm in check. I knew that. Okay, this was a major blunder. It's blundered my g6 pawn. Just keeps coming at me. It's like the Terminator. All right. Please leave me alone. Leave me alone now. Please. Stop bothering me. There's got to be a way to win this game. Alright, that was weird enough, man. Thank you for an interesting game, and I don't know who was better earlier. Alright, guys, I'm going to be streaming for another hour. Crusader of Hope, Caruana gave up his queen in the opening for Nakamura's 2 knights, and won the game later with a knight sack down on the material. Okay, I think I saw something about this on ChessBase. That's why I wasn't sure. I wanted to wait. Yeah, I had to do some recordings for chesslecture.com recently, and I knew that there was a very topical game. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to commentate on it for chesslecture.com because I had the feeling that probably 10 people have analyzed that game already. So I just stayed away from it. But I'm going to have to take a look just for my own entertainment. Lionel, whenever someone plays a game between like Nakamura and Caruana, it seems like there's 20 videos on the internet about it. I don't like to do games that like other people have done a lot of commentary about, but I will have to take a look. Gladys Troll is here. Privyet. It's such a good game, going to be a classic of the century. Wow, it's going pretty far. Well, the thing is about games, you know, back in like previous centuries, there just weren't that many games, so it didn't take that much. Again, Spinal Tap is challenging. He's come back. All right, Lionel. Actually, I'm calling him Lionel, but he's not Lionel. He's Lione 2222. All right. So when I played chess and poker in Belgium, I made it again to the final table and the bubble part, and I could have been chip leader, but I lost this massive flip against this guy who was kind of an idiot. But not an idiot completely, just he behaved like an idiot. But anyway, of course, like karma steps in and I lose all my chips to that guy, and then when he gets heads up, he wins against the nice guy, who's actually a much better player, but kind of similar thing happened last year. Anyway, so there was a cool guy, a really nice guy. Actually, I owe him a coffee from Belgium. Our opponent is from Belgium. I think this player here we're playing now is too strong. Too strong to be the guy from the Prague Poker and Chess event. This guy in Prague was like an 1800 player at best. I was heavy favorite in the chess part. Ironically, at Prague European Poker Tour, the day that there was the chess and poker tournament, outside the room there was another tournament with a chess grandmaster in it, and another tournament with an international master. So there were actually 3 title players playing that day, but I was the only one playing in the chess tournament, which was really funny. Last year, these guys played in the chess event. We've got a hedgehog here, and Belgium bubbled after me in the chess tournament. I'm never lucky. I could have just like shut down and like finished third. I could have probably made it to the money, but it was just not my style. What's up, Saroche? Good to see you. Is it rated? No. What's Lionel Richie. Lionel Richie. I'm trying to make 2 moves in a row. I have done that twice in tournament play. Be careful. Never trust me. I will move 2 moves in a row if you give me the chance. Okay, so it's Bishop E7. I don't normally play that. I'm actually usually playing A6 in this position, but I don't usually play the hedgehog of late. So now I've found myself in a variation I don't typically play. But it's okay. He played also like non-standard line. Knight takes d4. Queen takes d4 is pretty normal. So knight takes d4. It looks like a Queen's Indian It looks like a queen a4, queen's Indian without the bishop on a6 and without the queen on a4. Alright, so now we go to the standard stuff with queen c8. Queen c8, queen b7, a6, etc., etc. Or a6 first. Or do we try to do without a6? Just castle and do without a6? I don't know. I don't know, guys. Queen c7, queen c8, a6, knight c6. I've seen Zoltan Medved play stuff like knight c6. Similar positions. That's a really groveling kind of line, like knight c6. Knight takes c6 to just draw with black. White doesn't have to take. He can also play other moves like knight b5 or... Years ago, I lost to Joel Benjamin with white in one of these queen a4, bishop a6, queen's Indian positions. Something like this. Queen c8, a6. a6 weakens b6 a little bit. I mean, castles. Let's see, castles, knight to b5. Could play something like queen c8 there. And then white has to protect the c4 pawn. Then I have like a6. I just wasted 2 minutes on a perfectly normal move. What are you guys talking about? Bishop exchange. Oh, the bishop exchange. I'm way beyond you. I mean, I'm thinking you're talking about another bishop exchange here, bishop g5, something I used to do with white. To be honest, I played a lot of this line with queen a4 with white against the bishop a6, queen's Indian. And I've played those kind of positions with white far more than with black. And sometimes I'll do like bishop g5 and trade even the white squared bishop for the knight in some positions. My colleague, Grandmaster Zlatko Olincic, I just say colleague because we played so many tournaments together in First Saturday. He's obviously much stronger than me. Plays a lot of that line with white too. But mostly you don't see like knight takes d4. It's queen takes d4 is like a main line in the hedgehog. So we're kind of not really in... It's not a critical position. And I think after b3 I can just play d5 and equalize here. I mean, maybe if I was playing a weak player, I desperately had to win, like all out, no matter what, I would play something different, you know. But this is objectively black's best move. The problem is that it trades pieces, and it's going to be hard for black to ever win. So I guess if this were like a rated tournament game where I'm going to have to play for a win, we play something like a6 here or whatnot, and just accept the fact that we're slightly worse. But this is objectively best. And now, for my next trick, this isn't the only move. I guess I could play rook d8 there. But I don't like trading queens, giving white control of the d-file. Sorochi says he almost never leaves the house. The problem is I don't get enough oxygen, Sorochi. Do you open the windows often? It's usually so cold, I don't want to open the windows, but I don't know how it is in the rest of Europe, but yesterday it was incredibly warm here. Probably not as much so today. I didn't check the weather report, but there's a lot of wind outside. It was so cold for so long, I just kind of given up and just like, I'm not going to open the windows. It's so freezing all the time. But actually, yesterday was a beautiful day here. Pretty boring position. What can we do? As I said, trading with d5, I mean, freeing the position with d5, it's an equalizing move, but it's not really going to be easy to play for a win. I feel like I gained rating points or something. Did somebody play me a rated game? Did my rating go up? I guess it was... Maybe it went down, actually. I'm not sure. It looks different than it used to be. You just opened the window this morning since ages. It's hard to get sick, yeah, if you never open the windows. You said you went to a party the other day. Okay, we've got 4 challenges. Back to basics. That's a new player. Kitur Dekel is Magyar. Strange name for a Magyar. Kitur Dekel needs to re-challenge me to a game with increment. Like, make it 7-3 or 8-3. Please, Kitur Dekel. Geese and Spinal Tap. Spinal Tap has no standard games. That's amazing. Yeah, I gotta open the windows. Having some indoor plants can help. Oxygen. I felt my brain was like a little slow on the uptake today. I need more oxygen. Sometimes I feel real groggy, like when we don't leave the house. I should live in a tropical climate or something. The cold just doesn't work for me. I just hate the cold. Bishop f6. Oh, what an exciting game this was. I wonder if he could have played rook d1 there. Well, obviously he could. And is it good? It's probably best. This is like watching the grass grow. Speaking of green thumbs and... Is there a mate? Look at this. Rook takes c1. That's a good idea, right? Healthy concept. A healthy concept. Never forget about back rank mate. Ladies and gentlemen, it's one of the most foremost concepts on my mind at all times. Especially when you haven't moved your 3 kingside pawns. This is something you learn early on to be very afraid of. You learn your lesson with that kind of thing at the early stage. Once or twice you get back rank mated, you're like, I'm never going to get back rank mated again. Okay, so, well, that's nice. Now what? We've got a huge initiative here. You guys feel the sarcasm. But we may get a challenge from a strong player. It looks like Spinal Tap is almost... It must be late for him. He's almost survived to the challenge. Last time he bailed, he had to go to sleep, I think, before his challenge was up. I don't know, man. This game is just boring. I don't know whose fault it is, really. I don't want to blame anybody. I guess it's my fault for playing the hedgehog. Queen d5, interesting. There was this kind of weak chess hustler that used to play chess in the cafe where I played a lot, and he would always say, what did he used to say? I forgot. Master has that. That's what he would always say. Master has that. So this is... Well, objectively, nobody should win this position. But if you go into a knight ending, I think things tend to get a little bit crazy. Speaking of crazy, let's go for it. I'm really going out of my way here. What is that about? Oh, I just blundered that pawn, seriously? There's no way I'm going to win. He has perpetual check whenever he wants. Okay, anyway. I tried to do something interesting, guys, but it just was impossible. Back to basics. We've got a lot of English openings today. What else? Let's play e5. I knew Spinal Tap wasn't going to make it, man. He's too tired. Alright. It's got to be late for him. The problem here is if I play knight to c6, then knight c3, bishop b4, knight d5. Oh well. Yeah, c6. I like this line. This variation seems like a good way for black to play. Well, back to basics. Back to basics. New opponent. Established account. He knows this. This isn't that great for white. But I guess that's the best you can do. Knight f3. Knight f3. Reverse c3 Sicilian. There was a rated game in the list. Uh-oh. Good thing it's not this one. Yeah. TJWPDL. TJWPDL, you're going to have to re-challenge me to non-rated. Please. Keter Decal, thank you for re-challenging me. Keter Decal. It says Magyar, but it's... Is there some kind of anagram or something with that? Keet Erdecal, okay. I'm looking for like Hungarian, like... It's so weird to see a Hungarian name without like accents and stuff like that. I was like... Without the Hungarian characters, it looked kind of strange. I was reading it like phonetically. Like it was some English word. It is Hungarian, okay. C takes d5. And deep 0312 took the place of... He took the place of Spinal Tap Chess International Master who couldn't stay awake. Yeah, we lost to a Brazilian guy last time in a rated game. FIDE Master Ventura. Ace Ventura. D3 right away. One would expect that's a good move. Should I play h6? You know, like to stop bishop g5? Is that going to be enough, though? Bishop c5. Bishop c5. Knight b3. Bishop b6. Looks okay, actually. I don't see anything wrong with this. The problem with this variation is that I don't play the c3 Sicilian. So I just don't know, like, theory. Doing a lot of computer engine analysis, though, I have looked at this position multiple times. The engines all don't like white in this line. Like, black's supposed to be like a tiny bit better after d5. Pretty easy position to play. Okay, knight b3, bishop b6. It's like a knight f6, a kind of c3 Sicilian where black would go like knight f6, Alekhine's defense style, basically. That's what we're looking at here. I'm not concerned about this. If takes, I take with the knight, and if he wants to trade queens, he's going to have to give up a very good bishop to do so. So I would default to some kind of neutral move here for white. No, I don't prefer that one. Why not? Why take on e4? I don't see why like taking on e4 benefits white. I was very concerned about just castling right away. If you just castle right away, what is my next move in this position? I can't stop bishop g5 and deal with the threat of like knight to c3. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if castles h6, castles h6, knight c3, and what does black do now? There's the triple attack on e4, and I can't protect it. Maybe I could play bishop f5 there. Okay. Paschall's h6, knight c3, bishop f5, but it looks a little overextended. That looks a little overextended. Anyway, all right, so he took, I think that's easier for me to handle this now. It's equal. This is equal. I was concerned about the other position, that I'm in trouble, like maybe worse. But here it looks like pretty much equal. You have to go. Thanks for the stream. I'll be here again tomorrow. Yeah, guys, I'm going to be here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in the morning. And then we'll have a weekend for the new year and be back the following week again. Guys, I want to actually bring up the fact that I have a YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. As the new year starts, I'm going to be introducing more material there, as well as uploading the streams as usual. Knight c3, what can I do now? Have to take. This is what I meant by equal. I hope this is equal. Yeah. So I wanted to bring up the YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. He played knight d4. Interesting was c4 there. I was going to sack the exchange with d takes c, bishop takes b7, knight d7 with compensation. But back to basics went back to basics. Now rather than play knight to c6, maybe I should consider something else. Perhaps knight d7, looking at different sort of outposts. Whoops. This, maybe this, maybe this, also this. If I play knight c6, all I can do is just chop his knight on d4 and grovel for a draw, basically. Bishop a3. That is a good one. Back to basics. Back to basics. 1800 bullet. 2000 classical. 2000 blitz. Oh man, this is a little too basic for me, man. I'm getting a little concerned about this. Maybe I should play bishop c5 here. It's a little too basic. Rook e8, knight b5 is getting really basic. And this is just like, alright, I've seen enough. I like my bishop on b6, but alright, man, I don't need I don't need this to deal with that. He already has a strong knight on d4. White's slightly better here. But he has incurred some pawn weakness on c3. Not thrilled about this. Back to basics. This is a player I've never played before, but their ratings indicate they're probably something like an 1800 USCF player. Very relieved to see that move. Because in a vacuum, that's not a good exchange. It's like man, dude. You don't have bishop takes d5 here? Starting to talk like a southerner. This is like a computer move, but what's seriously up with that? I mean, I guess it's like a draw with opposite-colored bishops, isn't it? I'm down 2 pawns if I go that way. Bishop takes d5, bishop takes a3, bishop takes e6, check. At least now I'm okay. Too basic for me. Basically, I'm holding on here with like 0 chances of winning unless white totally butchers this. He's got a very safe king position. Bishop is okay. It's a little stymied at the moment, but still it's a good defender. Another good move. This was a blunder. C4. I just take. He can't take. Is it really a blunder? No. Okay, blunder is a bit strong. We had this discussion earlier as to whether strategic mistakes should be called blunders. Well, this was more of a tactical, but not really a mistake though. He's just actually trading his weak pawn, so he's still better here. I have a very strong knight that should hold the game, but white has the better half of the draw in this position. In this line, you must take on d3, if I remember correctly. Well, I think in the moment when you wanted me to take on d3, I would like end up losing my pawn on d5 or couldn't defend it or something like that. But it was a strange sequence. He like took on e4. I don't know. Back to basics is pretty strong. I'm happy to draw. I'm not out for blood, obviously. It's more about trying to play correct moves. When I play tournament games, in general, if I have an opponent who's much lower rated, I'm going to take a little more risk, I guess, trying to be subversive. Maybe intentionally taking risks, try to play for a win. Whereas on the stream, I try to play like really correctly, you know, as correctly as I can play. If it's a draw, it's a draw. I'm not going to be like pissed off about it. We at least try to play correct chess. White played this perfectly. Bishop h3. Well, you can't do anything about the knight on c5, so I'm out of there. Maybe I chose the wrong square for my rook. If the knight's not going to move, right? What's the sense of putting the rook on c8? Should put the rook on d8. He's like repeating my mistake. Okay, it's a different situation for him. The f2 square suddenly becomes a little sensitive. Strategically, white should play a4, a5 and try to trade off the weak pawn, create an isolated pawn for me. Next time on January 8th. Guys, if anybody's interested in chess lessons or training, I've had a lot of people, well, as always, there's a lot of turnover, so I'm not full as far as teaching new players and stuff like that. So if you're interested in lessons, I pretty much always have some kind of availability. But I would, I would prefer people who are really interested in maintaining a regular schedule of training. So if you just want to take like one lesson, I prefer people who are going to take lessons on a regular basis. Rook to d8. You guys can check out my coach's profile here on lichess. If you have any questions, I gotta watch the back rank mates. Again. Man, I hate playing h6 with a white squared bishop on the board. I guess it would have been better to play g6, ironically. e3 is a good move. I think a draw is a fair result here. Black is worse. So, congratulations. No, but seriously, it's not that easy for white to win either. But obviously white is slightly better. But difficult with no time left. I wouldn't necessarily be able to make progress with white either. Thinking about bishop f5, but it's a little bit risky. Geese, TJW didn't change their challenge from rated. So I have time for 2 more games, guys. Do you have a coach when you're an amateur? Why are you so good now? I was a very, very gradual improver. My coach was my best friend. We coached each other, essentially, and played a lot. I didn't really live in a place where there were any chess coaches when I was a kid. I grew up in southern New Jersey, and I remember when I was a little, well, not a little kid, but I was like 13. I remember reading in the Chess Life magazine, like, you could get lessons with Grandmaster Reshevsky in New York, but it was just too far to go, like 2.5 hours, you know. So it wasn't really like feasible to take lessons. Where I lived, it was too far from New York City, and so I never had any formal lessons. Philadelphia didn't have any real strong chess players in those days, so I never had any lessons. The only lessons I had, I was already a master from some strong grandmasters, but this was much, much later. Obviously, I could have been stronger, could have improved faster. It just wasn't really feasible. Of course, people were doing lessons by mail back in the prehistoric age, but it's obviously not the most efficient means of teaching chess. c4e, bishop e6. So it's a reverse Grunfeld. These positions are pretty good for white in general. Yeah, so anyway, I live too far from any kind of strong players to really have lessons. Bishop e7. Bishop g5 or queen a4. There was also c takes d, queen a4 check. I feel like there's also queen a4 right away, in fact. I feel like this was a line that I had looked at in regard to a previous game that I played, and it might have been against Geese. It's possible that we even played this before. Did we? I'm pretty sure there was another player. It might not have been against you. I'm always saying the same thing. I can't remember all the games. I played 43 games with Geese here, so it's a little difficult to remember all the games. But, okay, this goes into this ending. Now, rook d1 is possible too, in fact. I wonder if this is even stronger. Why should it not be good? He has e4. Is e4 going to save him? It doesn't save him, right, guys? It shouldn't save him. Typical Grunfeld. The Grunfeld, though, it's a really dynamic opening. When you give it an extra tempo, it becomes extremely dangerous. So guys, again, if anybody's interested in lessons, feel free to send me an email, videochesstrainer@gmail.com. Sometimes coaches don't have any room for availabilities. I've only been open for business for really the last 8 months or so. I was doing other stuff before that, so we still have some availability, take on new students. If you're serious though, because I don't really want to work with people unless they're really, really serious about it, committing to it, and being fully engaged in improving, working on the game together. Otherwise, you can just check out my videos on Video Chess Training on my YouTube channel. After New Year's, I'm going to start trying to, like I used to do, put up like a new video every week or so. For some reason, I missed this move, Rook D8. But that still doesn't solve all of Black's problems, I don't think. Undoubtedly, that's the best move here. Makes me wonder though, did I just make a terrible mistake? Should I have exchanged on d5 first? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. The answer is yes. Now it's going to be hard for me to really get an advantage. I think everything is focused on the Black center. Wow. Shevchenko showed up on time, as usual. In 2 weeks, he will play the Polish National Rapid Championship. Top Polish GMs and IMs. You think the best strategy to prepare for the next 2 weeks is to do tactics only? Well, if you want to be practical, Shevchenko, I would play as many games as I could at the exact time control, or something approximately like, what is it, 12 minutes with a small increment or something? What's the time control? I would try to play games with that, kind of time control if I were you. Or something close to it. I mean, it's fine and good to play like 3-0 or whatever time control you play like on your own normally, but if you're going to play for in a specific tournament, I find time very difficult to manage in these in-between time controls, like 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 8+3. You see a lot of my stream games where we'll like play the first 15 moves and then get down to like just increments. So time management seems like a really, really tricky thing in that time control, the rapid chess, or longer than blitz time controls. So I would think that you might really try to play a lot of training games at the exact time control, or approximately at that time control you're going to play. Now, Geese here decided to castle. I thought like he had e4 or something. That doesn't make sense. Maybe he had e4. It was kind of complicated, right? But if you play e4, what do? Bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6. Oh, I have bishop takes e4. I didn't see that at first. So probably, yeah, nothing he can do. We're chopping everything, trying to win a pawn here. But what we don't want is ops-colored bishops. Geese is obviously, he would prefer if I played knight takes d5, bishop takes d5, with some kind of drawing chances, but I have this. I mean, the important point is that my rook is doubly defended on d1, so he can't just go rook d8 and pin me. Even then I could play e4. If e4, right. Well, Roman, I thought bishop takes e4, because knight takes e4, it's a little complicated after bishop takes b2. But maybe the answer was simply bishop takes e4. Yeah, I didn't see it before when I looked at the line, but it's difficult for black in all cases, I guess. Now, rook takes. Suddenly, I'm seeing shadowy ghosts. Maybe I have to take with a knight. Yeah. Rook takes actually walks into rook b7, which looks kind of awkward for white. I guess I could play knight a4, but it's a really bad knight position on the side of the board. I guess this should almost be an automatic move. I shouldn't think about this too much. We can support it. That's the key. This should be a winning position for white. We have two advantages, not just up a pawn, but with a great Sicilian type position with a knight on d5. This would be a huge practical mistake, I think. Maybe I'm still winning, but I could even play knight c3, I guess, then e4. I wonder if king f8 is the best move or not. I'm not convinced. Guys, we have one more game after this. First time to my broadcast, thank you. But you thought after bishop takes knight c5 looked pretty good for me. Romain might be right. Romain might be right there. I saw knight c5 and then I wasn't sure. That's obviously, yeah. That's obviously the idea. You're right. Alright, well. It's also possible to play king f1, king e2. But I'm sure that position was better for me. So I have two good options if black had tried to do e4. But my general advice is not to go into this. Do not go into this kind of line for black. It's just too difficult to play against the open Grunfeld like a tempo down. So if you find yourself in this sort of situation that Geese does here, you have to play e6. I mean, this is really the only way black can kind of like negate the advantage white usually gets. And f6 is extremely passive for black. He's also putting his pawns on the wrong color, making his bishop kind of bad. I would say that in any kind of endgame, the worst sin you can commit is to play passively. It's the surest way to lose. Okay, rook b7 is not necessarily passive. He's looking for some play. But f6, I don't like. It's certainly not optimal. This is a lost position for black. Though white still has to have good technique, and I could certainly screw this up. I've lost better positions than this. So don't resign by any means. You just have to know the black should lose with correct play. It's very important to be able to evaluate positions as on the fly as you play. Know if your position is objectively winning or losing or drawn, and adjust accordingly. A5, that's a good move. Probably a good move. And bishop b4. Alright, so now we got both rooks active. We could potentially play h4, h5, h6 to loosen up black's pawn chain. And if he plays h6 or something like that, he'll have more weaknesses to worry about. I'm not sure there's a concrete plan here with rook c6, but I just want my pieces as active as they can possibly be. Pretty much telegraphing my plan. Okay, he played h5. That's good. Trying to keep the pawn at least on the right color. Now, how about centralizing my king? You just improve incrementally, like Karpov. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Now, certainly we could take the bishop, but we don't want to. A3 is possible as well. How about trading pieces around here? F3. Weakens these guys a little bit. This bishop ever gets back on E1, I have to be aware that I'm probably in trouble. But I do secure the E4 pawn. That's probably... Well, actually, it doesn't change a whole lot, I guess. We're going to end up trading something, I guess. Try to bring my king in play, but I've got to watch the bishop again. Alright, one exchange. Now he's driven to an awkward square. All squares are awkward. G8, F8, and G6. King D3 allows bishop E1. There's knight. Knight there. Rook D7. I don't know what to play here. Not that easy to win. It should be winning though. When we go for G4, let's play this first. Why am I playing this move? Trying to get a white square bind. Interesting. What an absolutely gutsy defense. But it shouldn't really be enough. A4, A5. Man, Gisa's really defending this like a genius. Why didn't I do something different? Man, he's defending so fast. I've got 8 seconds, almost losing on time. How am I going to play another game at this rate? No. Now we got him. I guess we were always winning, but I felt, defended this pretty well. The initial move f6 I didn't like. I thought he should have played bishop g5, and then the way he set up the defense wasn't optimal, but at the end of the day, he defended pretty actively. Maybe it was too late when he started to defend well. Next customer, last customer for the day. Will be our Hungarian friend. He's not giving up. All right. No. Very entertaining. Doesn't want to resign. He doesn't want to resign. So we just go here. Is that the fastest mate in that position? Alright, last game. Magyar Kiterdekal. Alright. We didn't play e4 all day, I don't think. Music down. You need to show me an example where putting them on the same color is a good idea. Of the pawns on the same color. But he could have played something like bishop on g5 to try, like in the Sveshnikov to activate the dark squared bishop earlier. I'm not saying he could have saved the game, but he ended up with the bishop on e7, pawns on f6, e5. Then he finally put it on b4. That was the best he could do. But the position is lost. I mean, he's down a pawn, and I have a strong knight, so objectively, it's just a matter of practicality. How much defense he can put up, down in a lost position. If it was just down a pawn, I wouldn't say he's necessarily lost. So here I was afraid we were going to see a guy who wanted to marshal, but he played d6. I feel relieved. Though it's very popular now, the Chigorin variation. Castles h3. Knight a5 is really seeing a huge renaissance. When I started playing chess in the 90s, or actually in the late 80s, This variation was totally out of fashion. I mean, nobody played knight a5. Kasparov, Karpov, there are all these matches with like bishop b7, knight b8. This move has really come back into fashion. Guys, this is last game for today. Rock and Eagle. Rock and Eagle got smacked by Mubat. Rock and Eagle, you have to be careful with Mubat. He's pretty strict. All right, knight on bd2, queen c7. This is also main line. I don't know why I'm thinking so long here. This is standard. This is the first game I've played e4 today, and the first Spanish game I've played in probably a week or so. So bishop b7. Yeah, in this position, black has a lot of different moves. Rook d8, bishop d7, and bishop b7. As far as I know, those are the three main moves. Oh, also c takes d is a move. Against bishop b7, I wonder if does it make sense, you know, then to play d5? I don't really have that much theory memorized. I just play by general strategic principles. There are too many variations to memorize, in my opinion. Unless you have a lot of free time in your hands. The Chigorin in particular is not a variation I ever spent a lot of time on. This summer, a little bit with a friend of mine, because he was preparing for some opponents who played this particular line. But in general, we'd rather keep the tension in the position. I was thinking about like b3. b3. But I guess the classical move here is knight f1. This move actually is standard. Knight e3, knight g3. I've had some problems in lines when I play b3. Sometimes it weakens the queen side a little bit, the c3 square and whatnot. Well, I'm sure this is theory. Now knight e3 is a blunder, I think, because of knight takes e4. Chiarticella is not used any time. But this is probably a still book position. Man, I don't really like my game a whole lot, to be perfectly honest. With knight e3, knight takes e4. Now rook e8. I was scared of knight c6. Threatening knight b4 there. And d5 is kind of tempting now. Just taking space. Alright, I don't know. d5, there are tricks, sometimes piece sacrifices on d5, but this guy is playing really fast. Of course, if he's played this opening a lot, then this is a position he's got a lot. So it just looks like we have a space advantage. But it's a long maneuvering struggle. Again, piece sacrifices on d5 I'm well aware of. There's also this square. So I'd like to play knight e3, but then he puts his queen here. It's sort of a problem. I don't know. This position is knight d7 looks okay. A4. He's going here. If b4, he goes back with knight b6. My knight e3, knight c5 again. I hate to play knight g3, but I don't see an alternative. The knight's not that active here. It's often misplaced. I just don't see it just getting in the way on e3 of too many other pieces. You don't see too many players at this opponent's playing, rating strength that are this good in the closed Lopez. I mean, this is a pretty subtle opening. He's only got like 100 games. Unfortunately, I'd like to play bishop c2, but there's all kind of complications. He's got knight a4. I think I have to go back. I mean, this guy's fast, and he's 1700, and he's playing really well in one of the most strategically sophisticated openings in chess. That's kind of scary. I mean, most people around 1792 on lichess don't really know that much theory. But usually tactics is the greater problem. Though there are no tactics. That's one of the beauties of the Lopez, in this kind of closed Lopez. Tactics are non-existent, almost non-existent. I mean, I've been watching out for like sacrifices on d5 followed by e4. In some positions, this queen d7 is another good move. Now a4 maybe. Trying to make some progress on the queen side. We have some kind of micro advantage. This guy doesn't play like a 1700 though. More like 2100. A bullet extremely low. Well, queen d7 is a good move. Although it doesn't leave his knight with any retreat squares, I don't think it needs one. I hate when they play good moves. Well, I'm always nervous when I play somebody I haven't played before. You have no idea how strong this person is. You have to take the rating with a grain of salt. I mean, you would think a player who was like over 100 games would be fairly weak, but I'm seeing a pretty strong opponent here. He's 2 minutes ahead of me on the clock. He's played very well so far. I'm a little bit worried about the outcome of this game. What is the outcome of this game going to be? Am I going to lose to a guy who's 1792? So far, he's played master level. H6. It's a fairly useful move. Now, if only I could attack his knight. His knight can always go to a4. The b5 pawn may be in trouble here. Maybe we can win. Rook a5. Yeah. That weakness. It's like something I would do with black. I had a game against several players here where my b pawn got in trouble. Bishop d8's a good try, but we could take with the bishop. What's the material? After bishop takes, b5. Only move. So tactics. Only tactics. Black's mistake was not taking on a4 here. If he plays pawn takes pawn, and I have to recapture pawn takes pawn, it's going to be very difficult for me to win this. Same plan, he can play bishop d8. I think that white's advantage is infinitesimal, and it looks like a standard kind of position. This was a blunder. We could play a couple things here. Maybe rook a7. No, that allows bishop. Oh. But he could recapture, he could capture on a5 in that position. Instead. There's this. Wow. Queen b5. Where did that come from? I have no idea what to do. He's got 2 minutes more than me. Queen b5. Wow. Why didn't he take on e4 there? He still has compensation. This is so scary. I mean, how does he have 2 minutes more than me? I'm just happy to trade any kind of pieces I can trade. He had huge compensation. He just played too fast. But I mean, I think this player with some coaching could be very, very dangerous. He has me down on time. He probably had a better position at some moment. I never have time to think. His only mistake is that he simplifies too much. He did it again. That's probably game over. G5. No reason to weaken yourself that much. G6 would have been perfectly okay. There was only one way out there, G4. Kirtikel, a lot of potential, man, in that game. First of all, you had a good opening. Secondly, you were like 3 minutes ahead on the clock. Thirdly, even after losing material, you had a lot of compensation for the material. So, I don't know, you had a lot of opportunities. It's pretty dangerous. Anyway, guys, I'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central European Time. Hansen is live. So anyway, guys, we'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. He had G4 to get out of mate, but it's a lost position. Check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. And if you have any chess questions, you can contact me, videochesstrainer@gmail.com. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, Jeroen, and thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a great week. We'll see you tomorrow.